Nice.
At some point, I'm going to be able to release a Where Are They Now on Prince Harry without there being more and more updates that I'm going to have to put into that video, including this, because honestly, it's been a busy year for the Prince. Well, Prince in name only. It's been a busy year for somebody who is slowly but surely becoming more and more irrelevant because he has told everyone his story. Many do not buy the BS. Some do. Of course they do. They are what we call the more casual observer, because any excuse to crap on the royal family. But now we know his story, many would have undoubtedly bought his book Spare. They would have noticed the emo diary of the balding ginger prince is not quite what it's meant to be. It didn't quite have the oomph that it required to layeth the smacketh downeth on the king's candy asseth. As we have mostly covered his absolutely colossal failures of the year, this video is a swerve. As the title states, yes, Prince Harry has in fact won something this year. It's a big win too though, because we on this channel do news commentary. We do it because journalists in the United Kingdom, journalists in America, journalists in many developed Western nations suck. They are intellectually dishonest, they push a rather obvious political bias, and they fail to adhere to certain standards, journalistic standards, and hide when they're scrutinized behind the "oh, but free press." The topic of today involves the integrity of journalists and the subject of phone hacking. There are many people who have brought cases against various news outlets for phone hacking. This one is a big one. This is one of Harry's biggest gripes. Now, he has many gripes with journalists. Ironically so, since he needs them to promote his content, and he will use them to promote his content, but the moment they go to him for content, it's not quid pro quo. No. No, you are harassing me like you did my mother. That's his shield. It's why he was parodied on South Park. It's why he was parodied on Family Guy, which he should be. Because while he claims to want a quiet life, he desperately needs the journalists to maintain his relevancy. But unironically, woe be me when they start to continue where they left off. On the 15th of December 2023, Prince Harry won 15 claims in a phone hacking case against the Mirror publisher. The judge ruled in his favour on almost half of the sample of 33 stories used in his claims of phone hacking and other methods. The ruling found evidence of widespread and habitual use of phone hacking at the Mirror newspapers. Harry described this as a great day for truth and accountability. For this, he was awarded £140,600 in damages. In a statement read out on the Duke of Sussex's behalf outside the High Court, his lawyer David Sherborne called the ruling vindicating and affirming. The image you see on the screen is what actually started this. This story can only have been obtained via hacking of his phone. Continuing with the statement. This case is not just about hacking, it's about a systemic practice of unlawful and appalling behaviour, followed by cover-ups and destruction of evidence, the shocking scale of which can only be revealed through these proceedings. I've been told that slaying dragons will get you burned, but in light of today's victory and the importance of doing what is needed for a free and honest press, it's a worthwhile price to pay. This statement was read outside of court by his lawyer, which means either he knew the ruling was going in his favour before the ruling was administered, wrote the statement and sent it over, or his lawyer had two statements ready just in case. Nothing shady or shitty about that, folks. Nothing at all. Now, in the context of the Mirror newspapers, who print the Daily Mirror, Sunday Mirror and the People, it has spent about, estimated, £100 million on damages and legal costs over previous hacking cases. This isn't good for them. Print is dying anyway, but this is going to hurt them even more. Among the headline of articles in which Prince Harry won his claims was Harry is a Chelsea fan, his ex-Chelsea Davy, and Harry's date with Gladiator star, which was him visiting television presenter Caroline Flack. A spokeswoman for the Mirror Group newspaper said, "We welcome today's judgment that gives the business the necessary clarity to move forward from events that took place many years ago. Where historical wrongdoing took place, we apologise unreservedly, have taken full responsibility and paid appropriate compensation." Now, I will admit, that is how they should respond. You pay your damages, you publicly say sorry, and you get on with your job and you try and rebuild a reputation which has been tarnished and absolutely annihilated for decades. However, You guys did deny up until this point that there was any wrongdoing, but you accept the court ruling at least, so I guess there's that, right? Sure? Yeah? Okay. This ruling comes after many months of debate, many months of court appearances. Harry himself was grilled over 2 days. A lot of it was just appeal to authority and emotion. It was kind of crap, but he got his point across and he got his win. Shortly after his victory, The Guardian published an article titled, "You may not like Prince Harry, but his win against the Mirror is huge and he's not finished yet. Piers Morgan now has a problem, but so too does much of the press. They are in the crosshairs of a man on a mission." If we scroll down a few paragraphs, the judge ruled there was extensive phone hacking between 2006 and 2011. He also found that Piers Morgan, who was forced to resign from the Mirror in 2004, knew about the phone hacking. He even called it a little trick, yet he denied on oath to the Leveson inquiry knowing anything about it. His own position will now surely come under scrutiny. You may or may not like Prince Harry. You may think he is a damaged young man, not so young, who has had too much therapy following the highly public death of his mother, even allowing for the creation of hateful narratives about the influence and ethnic background of his wife. Bullshit. In most circumstances, he would be a candidate for widespread public sympathy, but there is little sign of that in the way his activities are reported. That's because he's a disingenuous hack. If you have ever wondered why Prince Harry gets such a bad press, consider the context. I actually agree with that sentiment. 100% consider the context, and then decide if his shitty behaviour after leaving the royal family is justified. One can make a number of false equivalences now if you like. Oh, but my upbringing, I got beaten, so I'm allowed to beat others. Other false equivalences exist if you wish to take it to the more extreme. It does not justify crappy behaviour on his part, and his crappy behaviour has cost him a lot. Now, according to Mr. Justice Fancourt, the ruling judge on the phone hacking case, ruling that some of the bosses knew about this, Piers Morgan included, opens them up to, well, their own issues as well going forward. Under oath, he denied anything to do with this. He denied ever knowing about it. But the counter comes from Omid Scobie, who we've discussed. We're going to be discussing in a Where Are They Now? During a work experience on the Mirror's entertainment desk in 2002, he claims to have heard Piers Morgan discussing the use of voicemails. He said that Piers Morgan had asked a journalist how confident they were in a story relating to Kylie Minogue and her then boyfriend, James Gooding, and was told that the information had come from voicemails. The judge said that recollection was supported by evidence of an invoice from a private investigator relating to obtaining Kylie Minogue and James Gooding's mobile phone numbers. Quote, "I found that Mr. Scobie had been a straightforward and reliable witness, and I accept that he said about Mr. Morgan's involvement in that story, no evidence was called by MGM to contradict it." There are other bosses who are in the crosshairs as it were, but Piers Morgan is the biggest name, and it's certainly one that isn't going to go anywhere anytime soon. Backlash for him undermines the Leveson inquiry, and in the context of this sets him up to be sued as well. On Twitter, Alan Rusbridger had tweeted, 386-page judgment in the Prince Harry hacking case marks a bleak day for journalism, a nauseating catalogue of systemic intrusion, concealment, denial and deceit. Included, obviously, his column for prospectmagazine.co.uk. And I'm going to read a few passages from that as it is quite relevant now. "We now know beyond any doubt that a vast number of people in the public eye for 2 decades were unlawfully tracked, trailed, blagged, hacked, and spied on. I should point out some people had also brought their case as well, other celebrities, but they filed it too late to be included in this case. We now know that a sizable industry of private investigators was employed by at least 2 newspaper groups to do the dirty work. Deniability was all. We know the dark arts didn't stop when the Information Commissioner exposed it more than 20 years ago. They didn't even stop when a News of the World journalist was arrested in 2006. They didn't stop when The Guardian revealed a Murdoch Incorporated boardroom cover-up over payments to victims in 2009. They didn't even stop with the Leveson inquiry in 2011. We know the newspaper management at 2 of our biggest media companies have consistently concealed and denied the truth about what went on. They've issued dishonest statements and have lied to Parliament, the Stock Exchange, to other journalists, to regulators and even the Leveson inquiry, set up to establish the truth. And now some have been caught telling porkies in court. Murdoch Inc. and Mirror Group have shelled out more than $1 billion in costs and damages. while continuing to deny or admit the truth of what went on. Emails and documents in the millions cast light on the truth that went missing so many years ago. Journalistic integrity has been going down for years. Cases like this, even with people like Prince Harry involved, does not help them. People may not like Prince Harry, but when he's in the right, he's in the right. And people have to be okay to admit that. In this, journalists are almost at the bottom of the ladder. They're almost beneath insurance companies and lawyers. Almost as close as MPs. Anyone in high office or an office of some kind holding a position over others where they have power? Yeah, you guys are beneath the oikory. The court has deemed you all to be absolutely corrupt and smegheads. And you know it. While Prince Harry receives a rather small amount in a phone hacking case, I doubt it will cover all the therapy he has gone to in the years since, and that doesn't include all the rather pathetic therapies he's been promoting. Now, Piers Morgan has put out a statement on his Twitter, pointing out that only one of the instances that he was victorious on happened during his watch, but he still knows nothing of it. All others that happened during his tenure were thrown out. Remember, of the 33 stories he brought forward, only 15 of them were deemed to be credible. Piers, though, did in a tweet where he had put his video of his statement out there, get a community note that said the court did not find that Piers Morgan hacked phones himself or instructed others to do so as he implies. However, the court found that Piers Morgan knew it was happening and benefited from it. As a community note, this one's a bit of a tricky one to navigate because, yes, that is what the courts have said, which is why I believe this opens Piers Morgan up to being sued and into legal trouble for lying under oath. However, it should also be acknowledged that while he did imply that he was being accused of hacking, any that happened under him bar one was thrown out, and the one that got through was the one concerning Omid Scobie. It took 3 media outlets to get this ball rolling, the phone hacking scandal as it were. The Leveson inquiry did not yield the result that was required because everyone involved refused to do anything. The police wouldn't touch it until multiple outlets actually said something about it. Because when the public brought it to them, famous people as well, they just swept it under the rug and said, nah fam. Yet we now know there are senior executives that worked for these media companies who would hold bets to see who could hack the most phones in a month, with one executive to this day being unknown and has yet to face charges for that. In the case of Prince Harry, he has other legal concerns to deal with concerning these media companies. This fight is just beginning for him. I may think he's an absolute smeghead, a disingenuous hack who just wants to tear the royal family apart, and has failed to do so, and now will live with whatever money he has while his fame and star dwindles. But in this instance, he's on the right side, in the sense that his phone was hacked, they ran stories based on his messages and emails, and they should not have done that. Phone hacking's the kind of crap you expect from a government agency, and it's wrong then as well. Individual privacy and liberty must always be protected, even in a country where the people, England especially, don't really have any rights. I personally hope that both media companies burn to the ground, because their intellectual dishonesty has gone on for long enough. It is why more people come to social media to absorb information, especially on places like Twitter, for example. People may hate it for being very open with its free speech policy, but more people use that than they do any other platform. Print is dying. Time for the news companies to catch up.